You made me come here. Why don't you? Where's Steve?
I haven't heard from him.
Why not?
Did he respond when I asked for 5:30? Was okay, right?
What?
When I asked for 5:30 was okay for everyone, because I thought maybe we'd have a little bit of business to do, and then we go into executive at 6 to talk about some of it later.
Yep, there you are live.
Maybe you'll wrap
We're
up
live.
out there tonight. but
We
I
are
guess
now
not.
live.
We are live. Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the June 18th, 2013 meeting of the Town of Wareham Board of Selectmen and Sewer Commissioners. Roll call, please.
Present. Mrs. Whiteside, Mr. Tropiano, Mr. Tettelbaum, Mr. Slavin, Town Administrator Derek Sullivan.
Next item, please.
Consent agenda. We have no bills, no documents.
Next item.
Sewer business funding for contract 2. Pass on that for this meeting. Any other sewer business? No.
No, I don't see the sewer director here, so next item, please.
Next item A, which is the Cedar Director of France. We do not have to sign the agreement. Our vote took care of that, therefore that item is also passed.
Okay.
Discussion, possible vote on town meeting articles that we haven't voted on.
I think that would be the budget transfers, which would be on the special town meeting. You have the motions in front of you. If you turn to the second page, actually it will be the fourth page, you'll see the June 18, 2013 transfer table.
Yes.
Transfer number 1 will be from the town accountant expenses in the amount of $1,500 to the general services expenses. General services looks to be in deficit before the end of the year by $1,500, and that's been for extra postage during the year. Town accountant expenses, they have extra money because we had moved up money into their expenses line for the contractor. Transfer number 2 is inspection services salaries, $3,000 to inspection services expenses. The reason for this is the interim director David Moore is paid as a contractor, and his salaries come out of the expense line and not the wage line. The third is the health department salaries in the amount of $2,500 to health department expenses. The reason for the surplus in salaries, they had a staff member leave. The new staff member was brought in at a lower salary. The reason for the expenses being over are, most of that's actually gasoline for driving. This is the big one, article number 4, transfer number 4, town administrator salaries. We have $50,000 surplus. That stems from 2 things. One, the financial analyst position not being filled, as well as part-time, the interim town administrator Foster was also paid out the treasurer's salary, and that is moving to the streetlights. Streetlights was trending well for the entire year until we were notified by NSTAR that there was a glitch in their system, and there's approximately $50,000 in bills that are owed. Number 5 is from town accountant expenses, $3,000 to workers' compensation expenses, $3,000. There was more than we had anticipated in that. Transfer number 6 it's a multi-part assessor's salaries, $27,000. There is a surplus in the salary line because we did not fill the position of the assistant assessor / data collector, and there's short-term interest. There's $1,000 surplus. We did not fully borrow out of that to FICA in the amount of $28,000. Although we're trending in the right direction, we know that there will be 5 paychecks issued through the school department within the next few weeks before the end of the fiscal year. That will count towards this year, and it will be a big hit to the FICA line. Transfer number 7, town accountant salaries in the amount of $13,000. That's because we have extra salary in there as we made the assistant town accountant into the town accountant and did not fill the other position. inspectional services salaries. Again, we did not hire a salaried building commissioner during that time. And short-term interest, we still had a surplus there. To the veterans expense, $25,000. We've fixed this for what we believe FY14 and brought that budget up to $313,000 from $275,000 this year. That is an assessment that is charged to us. We do receive in the next fiscal year 75% back as part of the cherry sheet aid, but you know, that's still a line that's increasing. Transfer 8 is municipal maintenance salaries, $8,700, to municipal maintenance expenses, $8,700. Again, a lot of the salaries that were paid during the snow and ice period were covered by snow and ice and the expenses. We did not receive reimbursement for the snowstorm or the blizzard. It was a half-inch short of being eligible from FEMA. So a lot of our expenses on that, which people don't know, is besides the snow and ice removal, was the tree, brush cutting, and removing those. And that probably a lot of people actually do know. So. Number 9 is long-term principal, $70,000, long-term interest, $30,000, short-term interest, $7,000. We have that because we did not, we did the ban for the capital project, which included the school roof, the buses, the cars, that full amount. And that is what's being moved to the police for their deficit for the year in the amount of $107,000.
Questions from the board?
Go ahead. 107,000, 49,000 from the reserve account,
Yes.
$100,000+ pushed into next year.
No, I don't know of that, but
Well, that's what they pushed into next year. We all know that they asked the courts to push all their cases forward for next year. We all know that. So 100 grand at least was pushed into next year. So that's almost $300,000 that they're over budget for the year.
That's incorrect. They asked the courts to do that. The court said, we understand you have a budget issue. However, we will not treat the legal system any differently for your budget issue.
Okay, so you're saying that none of the cases were pushed into next year?
I don't know, but I'm saying that's what I was told back from the chief of police, and that not $100,000 was moved into the next fiscal year's budget.
So you're telling me he's only $150,000 over budget?
$156,000.
This is,
Yes, we have to start at the beginning. We have to start on day one. We can't fix it in the last 2 weeks of the year.
I get that, but you know, this happened last year.
It's happened every year.
And it's happened every year.
So
and
now we gotta
keep
fix
coming
it.
in and we keep having this problem. And this is a lot of money. This isn't chump change here. This is a lot of money. You know, and it's, you know, I know some of this has to do with the overtime fund they were having on the jet skis and that kind of stuff that was going on. I know, that's what they did.
$7,000.
7 grand. That's it for the whole year. The overtime
$7,000.
was $7,000 bucks.
For the jet skis, yes.
So how did they end up with so much overtime?
$60,000 worth of retirements. We had a 6-month suspension that was filled with overtime. We had 1 year of an entire person being out on sick leave, another person for 6 months. It was all in, I believe, the document that was given to the board. I don't know if you had a chance to get it.
Yes, yes, we did.
I haven't seen it.
It was last week.
This was provided last week, I believe.
It was.
I apologize for not getting it.
It was all spelled out, line by line by line. Not that that makes it any better. And the other thing.
No, it doesn't make it any better, and there's something not right here when every year you're over budget.
Well, one of the other things.
I know the previous chief never had these issues. He used to turn money back every single year. Every year, turn money back. And this has been consistent over and over and over and over and over again.
One of the things that they also don't do is plan for the retirements, so that when there's retirement, that gets,
Well, the same thing happened to Tom. He had all the same issues. You know, he had the retirements, he had people out sick, he had all that kind of stuff. Yet every year he would turn us back a little money. Every single year he did that. You know, and this is consistently bad. and we're losing police officers at the same time. This is not a good thing.
Anyone else on this? Selectman Holmes?
Mr. Slavin. My question, just real quickly, the long-term principal, long-term interest, short-term interest, you said we basically took out a band.
Yeah.
So that means we're just basically paying, with the band, we're gonna just pay the interest over that period of time, not the principal or anything.
Yeah,
So we're
the-
deferring actually putting it onto a bond.
I think the ban was $2,000 in interest altogether. Not all the work has been done, so if we borrowed for it, it wouldn't be proper.
So it's going back a year. Backwards. Okay, I understand that. The police stuff I've already looked at. I think it's incumbent upon the board, starting whenever town meeting is over, whether it's tomorrow or whatever, that's one of our policies and guidance. We'll get into some of the budget issues as far as doing some things and talking about.
We have to not let these kinds of things happen.
But the problem is right now, it's too late to fix today.
I understand that.
So tomorrow's when you have to deal with it.
Totally understand it, but it's too late.
You've incurred the expense already.
Well, I'll just say it in one word. This didn't happen today. We don't have 2 days to fix it. We sat down in January, right after the first of the year, with the town administrator, and he went to the chief of police, and at that time, I want to say the number was 60,000. And the answer was, take 60,000, divide by 6, and you cut those expenses over the next 6 months, so that on June 30th, we're at 0. No other answer was acceptable. It's on the record. So it's not, we're trying to do
I think you said
something.
this to us one day. I think you remember him
hang
saying
on. This isn't something we're trying to fix in 2 days. This is something we, as a board, have been speaking about for 6 months. And we get to June 30th, and the number is blown out even more. Plain and simple, mismanagement. That's all it is. I support the chief, I support his policies, I support his programs, but this is plain and simple mismanagement. That's all it is. You know, I just had this discussion today at a business meeting where we talked about Wareham and how the community triples in the summertime and how all of our activities triple in the summertime. And if you can't manage over the winter months to cut some of these hours out, because you know you have to spend all this money in the summertime for extras and specials and all this other stuff, then management is the issue here. You got people out sick, you deal with it. You got people retiring, you deal with it. That's why people get paid salaries to manage. This is absolute bull. And I'm very disappointed in this because I think the number was 66 or somewhere in there. We sat down and talked about it. We've been repeating it for months, and this is the answer we get in the end. So I think that there's more to this than just getting this passed. I think we need to look at the management, and if they're not going to do the job, then they need to find employment elsewhere.
Can I just ask for clarification? Yes. Maybe I shouldn't, but who are you referring to when you say management?
Well, you have the chief of police and you have the town administrator that are responsible for that number.
Okay.
They run day-to-day operations.
Okay.
The board has been advising them for 6 months to clean it up. The accountant has been trying to be helpful, I believe. And this is the answer we got after 6 months of work. It got almost 3 times as bad as it was in January. 60, what was the total number here? 140, 150?
156.
Yeah, it's 156.
2.5.
So it's 2.5
I
times.
think some of
2.5 times worse than it was in January. Huh?
I think there's more than meets the eye.
Well, it's just, plain and simple, it's management. You don't have Mark Gifford doing that, you don't have John Foster doing that, you don't have Mr. Sullivan doing that, and he's running, well, except for the police. There are many departments that could just go out and say, hey, I need overtime, and spend it. And then come in here in June and say, or May, and say, hey, give me a transfer. The other departments aren't doing that. And why, and I'm not picking on the rank and file officers because they're just doing what they're told. This is a management issue, plain and simple. And management would not survive in any other business. I know, I work in the private sector. This would not happen.
Thank you. No, I just
You all
wanted
set?
clarification for
Alan?
the record.
I look at it a little differently. In all the years in business, different things I've done in life, the buck stops at the top. I consider ourselves responsible. If we don't get it done, we don't get our answers and stuff, it's still incumbent upon us. So we can sit there and go down the line and blame the department heads, everything else. The bottom line is the Board of Selectmen are responsible at the end of the day. So it's up to us. If it's a problem, we need to fix it, make the pieces there. But as far as the blame, I believe I'll take full responsibility.
And I agree with that, Alan, because you know what?
We knew this
Now
was going on.
we need to take action. Whatever has to be done or removed needs to be done.
We need to, I think,
And this is over.
we need to get the police budget on the agenda, I think, as a monthly budget item, so we can track it monthly, obviously. We had some things to say in January, and now it's June, and we're seeing that perhaps
It's been a
those things
regular
didn't happen.
conversation, Mr. Chair,
It has been for 2 years.
and we're not supposed to manage day to day, but we do manage other things, and we'll just include this.
I think one of the things that has hindered the board, everything, is the untimeliness of the financial reporting. And I understand that there's been a huge effort bringing that more current, and I appreciate the work that Ms. Lauzon has been doing. But you can't run a business with figures that are 6 months old or 3 months old, and that's what the facts have been. I'm not defending anybody, I'm just saying.
Well, I want to be fair to Derek, though. Derek came into a mess, as far as
Oh,
I'm
yeah, it
concerned.
was a rat's nest.
I mean, the thing that was left behind by your predecessor was a mess.
It was worse than a mess.
And, you know, to your credit, you've done a terrific job getting to where you have gotten. Okay, I mean, I'm saying that for the record. Okay? And I'm not sure that I blame you for this. I think it's been consistent. You didn't get this from the beginning. You just came into the middle of it. And I think that this sits with one person and one person only, who seems to not care about what happens with the budget. You know, that's what it seems to me. That's what it says to me when you do it consistently. It says you just don't care. You know, anytime somebody does something consistently, you figure, well, that's just what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing that bothers me.
Anything else on any of these transfers?
No. Do we need it?
Yeah.
We've got a favorable action vote.
I'll make a
One
motion
by
for
one.
favorable action
Second.
on Article 1 on the transfers.
Second.
Anything else on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
I'm voting against it.
You're voting against it?
Yes.
So,
I want you to know I'm voting against it. I want you to know it's because I can't vote against a separate line item, I'm voting against it as a blanket. I wish I could vote against it as a line item, but I can't. So I'm voting against it as an entirety.
the vote then is 3-1-0, correct?
Oh, wait,
No.
wait. I thought you were voting on number 1.
We are, which is this
We just
table.
voted on this table.
The Article
This
1
is Article 1, Steve.
The
is
table.
the,
Oh, the article is the whole table?
Yeah.
Correct.
I misunderstood.
table
I
is
thought you were
entirety.
doing the
No, no.
transfer.
Would
Okay.
you like,
I vote no.
you vote no as well, so then it's 2 in favor,
what are you talking
I
about?
mean, 3 in favor?
Yeah.
2 opposed,
3 to 2.
0 abstain.
Article 2.
For
Article
the
2.
record, it is 6 o'clock.
Yes, we will briefly move into executive when we're done with these votes.
Okay.
Article 2 is for the purchase of 3 patrol cars and 2 supervisor SUVs. It would be to transfer money from the stabilization fund in the amount of $238,000.
Questions?
How much is in the?
I've already made myself clear on these things.
A little over $500,000. I think 550.
55 to 58.
Approximately.
And there's going to be questions as to what the usage of the stabilization fund is. There's going to be questions as to what the usage of the stabilization fund is. Capital items are one of the allowed uses of it.
One-time expenses are no problem.
Go back. You purchasing these outright?
Yes.
This time, yes.
I don't like the vehicles they're purchasing. I don't like anything about them. They're the same vehicles that we have bought in the past, that have been consistently in the shop, been serviced, had problems. I just looked up quickly the Durango, which is what they're buying here, instead of those Ford SUVs, which everybody else is buying. And the difference in mileage is gigantic. The average of the Durango is 14 miles a gallon, and the average on the Fords is, would you believe, well, 20 on the city and 28 on the highway. So average it in between somewhere, about 24 miles a gallon. Huge difference in the cost just in the fuel allotment alone of the vehicles. Not to mention the, in my estimation, the durability of the vehicle. Plus, one of the things that we have now, all of a sudden, we're not going to be plowing 89 miles of road. I think SUVs for the police are going to be all that much more important, because there's going to be a lot of roads that aren't plowed on time, aren't plowed with our normal cycle. There's going to be a lot of issues, and they're going to have to get around on some of these roads and so on and so forth. And I think that we should buy the 5 Explorer-style SUVs instead.
What are these?
These, 3 of these are the Hemi Dodge Chargers, and 2 of them are Durangos, Dodge Durangos.
It should be four-wheel drive SUVs.
Yeah,
Right,
they
which
should
they
be.
are.
Is
Because
that
that's
some kind of deal from Dodge?
No, they're on.
No, everybody has it. No, they get no
They're on a
deal.
list of vehicles for the state.
Yeah, they're just on this.
State bid list.
But I did a little homework on them, and I'm not
Dodge truck.
happy with these vehicles and the issues that they've had. Several times they've used the push bars on the front of them, and the push bars have literally pushed into the cars and taken the radiators out and the coolers,
What
because
if
they're
he-
not strong enough to do that.
But what if he
Why
was
they
to
use
say,
it?
oh, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
may I ask? What if he was to say that there's nothing in this article that says what the vehicles are?
Actually,
What if he, Mr. Sullivan, the town administrator, was to purchase these Ford?
he can purchase whatever he wants,
Yeah.
but see, that's the article says, town administrator to expend such funds. It's in his purview. Now, it has nothing to do with strong chiefs. This has everything to do
No,
with him.
he's the procurement officer.
Exactly.
Right.
It has everything to do with him, and he can buy whatever he wants to buy for vehicles. And if it's authorized, you would have the authority to buy the vehicles. It has nothing to do with, he can ask for the moon, but doesn't mean he's gonna get it.
Well, I would say that, Selectman Tropiano, you've made your viewpoint on the
Thank you.
particular nature of the vehicles you'd like to see purchased very clear. Something Mr. Sullivan might wish to consider.
Well,
Can I just ask one question? Is there a price, I'm sorry, is there a price differential between the
There
2
will-
vehicles that you're talking about?
Well, we don't know what the
list thingy?
We don't know what the Fords cost, because we didn't do a thing on that. Only thing they put this together with is
Ford
with,
the Interceptors, Patrick, are a little more expensive actually than the Chargers.
I'm sure they are. I mean, first off, they're SUVs, so they're gonna be a little more money anyway.
Right.
But I have a sneaky suspicion they won't be that far off, because these Dodge Chargers are designed with that Hemi engine and the whole
Right.
9 yards, and that's extremely costly.
Right.
Just like an
What
old,
a Charger looks like.
What is
Like
it?
a Jeep?
No,
Or
it's
is
those
it
little
like a-
things that they look like-
It's a little sports car.
It's a little sports car that...
Not a Charger, I'm sorry.
It's a Dodge Charger.
Durango.
Oh, the Durango?
Durango's an SUV, it looks like
Durango,
the same
it's
as a
kind of a
Chevy,
boxy-looking
mid-size SUV,
It's like a-
Not
similar to
smaller.
that.
No.
No.
Smaller.
No.
No, it's
No.
a bigger one.
But those are for supervisors.
Yes.
So why wouldn't they get one of the smaller SUVs?
Well, that's why I want to put them in these other vehicles that the state police and everybody else are buying. Apparently, I talked to some of the state police, and they apparently love these things. So that's why I would like to see us use those in our fleet. And I know that some people think that we should just have all the cars match. Well, if we buy these and continue to buy them, they'll all match, eventually.
Right.
Yeah, that argument can be made for anything.
Exactly.
That much is true. Selectman Whiteside?
No, the question was, you know, is there a magnificent
Difference in price? I don't think,
I think it's $3,000 to $5,000.
Okay, so I'm guessing that if you go with if we go with this recommendation, that the strong feelings of at least one of us, maybe more than one. I agree with you, I know. I mean, I think those things are ridiculous. You buy this low-down car,
Yeah.
you've got 90 miles of dirt roads, and they're dragging their buns the whole way.
Exactly.
one way to put it.
And we have a lot of roads that have no paving at all on them.
Yeah. Well,
And that's not good for the cars, you know what I'm saying?
I said it personally, I think Ford makes, I just gave mine up, and that was at 279.
Well, we still have some Ford
Expedition.
cars right now that are still running, that you don't have to run out and put jumper boxes on or anything else, right this minute, that are old, and they have a lot of miles on them.
Well, people are gonna decide what to do with this.
well, no, they're gonna decide on the amount. They're not gonna decide on the cars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be up to Eric, Derek.
Derek.
To buy the cars, Eric.
There we go.
Derek.
Well, okay,
Changed
then
your name.
I guess my question is, how far along are you on this, and
Well, you have to go for an
Yeah,
RFP.
there would be no.
You haven't done
just go to
anything.
bid list. No, all you can go out is
Go to
go
bid
for the
list.
bid list. Yeah,
Right.
there's-
Yeah.
until
so you haven't
there's
done
one-
anything yet?
No,
You're just
that's
looking for a
Once
dollar
you have the money,
amount.
then you go to the bid list and you.
Yeah, a lot of times people see if we go on the bid list or request a bid, they think we've bought something. You can't buy anything until
Well,
you have
in
the
the
funding.
past, those things
I
have,
mean, if it's.
that may have been true.
If it's an
Okay, well,
extra, Derek, it's an extra $3,000 a car or whatever, I'd rather see you put that in there, and I'd like to see you think about purchasing those other vehicles.
Probably, if we ask the moderator, I
It's
think.
not gonna allow
How do
you
you
to
put
go up.
criminals in the back of
Oh,
an
absolutely.
SUV?
There's a little bit of discretion there, so I don't know.
Well, we can get advice from council on this one.
Yeah, because this is, we always make the motion on the floor.
On the-
Possibly the number on the total appropriation for the 5 police vehicles. Is there any latitude to go up?
Probably about $9,000.
How much? Is there a percentage attached to that?
Sounds like it'd be about 5%.
Yeah, I
10%.
mean, my own opinion as a moderator
Yeah,
is, I would say no problem.
okay.
Claire gets to make the call on it, but
Okay.
I see no problem.
So then what I would probably do is also ask that if you're going to amend that, then looking at the motion, is amend it to be 5 vehicles.
No.
Yeah, I-
Yeah, the
yeah.
The motion just
Well,
says,
you read
I
the
think it
motion, so
says
there's nothing
3
to amend.
SUVs.
Okay, Selectman Holmes?
Mr. Chairman, the motion is fine, it just says, purchase and equip 3 patrol cars,
No, you want to change that.
excuse me, please. It says, you're gonna purchase and equip 3 patrol cars and 2 supervisor SUVs.
Yeah.
It does say
A
that.
patrol car can be an
It can
SUV.
be, they're
Yeah.
already using them as SUVs, they're
That's
already
fine.
being used as patrol
A
cars.
patrol car is any car you use for patrol,
The
correct?
difference is patrol car and supervisor SUV, that's the difference.
Yeah.
So say that again, Mr. Holmes. I'm
So
sorry.
he could buy 5 SUVs and outfit 3 for patrol cars and 2
Two for supervisors.
for
Yeah, you can-
supervisors.
Yes.
Right, because it's different
Okay.
lettering.
So the
Yeah,
motion
okay.
is, the motion is fine the way it
Okay.
is.
You're right.
That works.
You're right.
All right.
It's a good point.
Okay.
But
Well,
you
if
need
you use
to-
the
you
SUV
need
as
to
a
add
patrol
the-
car, then
Right,
it fits,
good point.
Yeah,
right?
fair enough.
You need to
If
add
you
the
start, if you
9,000.
start
You don't wanna
adding
make-
motions out there, that gets
No,
tricky.
we don't want to
Yeah.
do that.
It could lead to confusion.
Okay, I'll look at it.
Well, anything else to be said on this?
Well, we're going to add $9,000 to
Yeah,
this?
somebody will have to stand up to amend the.
Well, in
value.
actuality, a motion is not, help me with this, we used to do this all the time. The motion isn't made until we make it on the floor.
That's correct.
Correct.
So we could stand up, and when we read this motion, we could put any number in there we want, hypothetically.
Yeah, whoever makes the first motion can make it the way they want to make it.
So we'd have to
Exactly.
ask the finance committee.
So when the finance committee has their meeting, we can go over there and ask them if they would
You
read
just
a
ask
different
them
amount
to
in, is that what?
to change the amount, that's all. And then they just read it the first time out, and that's what the motion is.
You've
There's really
heard-
nothing to accept or
You've
not
heard the
accept.
reasoning behind why we would add the $9,000, which is
The
the,
finance committee very possibly is going to amend it with their own one anyway.
Well then, this could get interesting, a little too interesting. Derek, figure it out between meetings.
Okay,
Can we get a favorable action on this
Yes.
at least?
47.6. You can't buy a vehicle for 47.6 from a Ford dealer.
That's
Wow.
fully.
I don't think that needs to go up.
That's fully equipped with all the equipment inside.
And why don't we take some of the equipment out of the old car? What are we gonna do with those?
Those are the Ford Crown Victorias that are, the equipment in is about 10 years
Yeah,
old.
that's really ancient
They're
stuff.
they're obsolete electronically.
The Crown Vics, at least they still run though.
I bet you they work someplace.
They do
Yeah.
They
run.
run like crazy, those cars.
Well, let's take the motion we have, I guess.
Question before we start is, are we gonna make the motion to modify it for a dollar amount, or are we just gonna leave it?
Yeah, let's
It's up to the
we have
maker.
up it to 9.
Yeah.
We're gonna up it by 9, right? Isn't that what we agreed? Does
You
everybody
said-
agree with that?
Yes, I do.
They're getting ready to meet. This may be a topic of discussion
So
over
it
there.
ends up being
Oh, yes?
It ends up being
247.
247, right?
Yep.
All right, so.
And we understand the concerns.
And we understand what Eric,
Derek. His name's Eric now.
All right, I'll make a motion.
Sorry,
How
Derek.
did he
I'm
say
so
Eric if
sorry,
you're happy,
Derek.
All right, let's wrap this
As long
one
as
up.
I
We got a
don't
couple
call you
others to
late,
consider.
Dinner. Second.
I'll make a motion for favorable action based on the changes made by the Board of Selectmen.
Second. Which is the 247.
Why don't we read those changes in?
Plus, he's gonna provide
The
the.
changes are basically 5 SUVs, and the dollar amount would increase by $9,000 for
Correct.
appropriation.
Yep.
Okay.
And they're the Ford Interceptor SUV.
All right, motion made by Selectman Slavin.
Or, we don't want to,
It's the only one like that.
well, what if he finds some better vehicle between now and then? I'm not being funny about it, but if we tie him down to a Ford, that's what he's gonna have to buy. If you give him the sense of what you want, he is not stupid, he hears you and us.
That's after tonight's vote.
Yeah.
And if it
I
gets
think-
approved,
I
then we
think-
can discuss
Yeah,
that.
then we can discuss it and say, this is what you.
If people vote no, it's mute.
I think he's gonna end up with
This
those
whole
interceptors
conversation.
anyway, because
Absolutely.
That's,
the
and that's
car.
why I'm saying,
I
don't
mean,
put it in here
they are
because
the cars.
if you put that in there,
Fuel
somebody's gonna say,
wise,
well, how come
everything.
you're not gonna buy Dodges, that's what we got.
You're
blah,
gonna
blah,
save
blah."
a ton of money on fuel. just
I
alone.
believe you. I'm not arguing with you. I'm trying to make this argue-proof on town meeting floor.
Yeah, that's not the
Simple,
discussion
kiss.
for today.
I'll remove my motion, go back over it again.
Okay?
Make a motion that we will favorable action Article 2 and make a change from basically to 5 SUV vehicles and the dollar amount to increase by $9,000.
To 247.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Selectman Slavin, and seconded by Selectman Whiteside. Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Favorable action on Article 2.
No, I've got it.
Okay, the next one's gonna be Article 3 for the ambulance. Are we all set with that?
I think you voted on
I
that.
think we
one.
did.
What's the dollar?
The ambulance, it's going to be funded through the FY14 budget under a capital line, and that's $80,000. The purchase of the vehicle is estimated at $220,000, but it'll be a 3-year lease that will be funding through a capital line in the EMS budget. Because this is a special town meeting, you can't put the amount in there, or it'd be for this fiscal year, and put us an $80,000 in deficit.
Right.
All right.
I move favorable action on
Second.
Article 3.
We already had that one done, Patrick.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to just
Well, can we just?
quick discussion of that particular item.
What was for that we're passing over?
When we're dealing with the police vehicles, do we need, and is it appropriate to order a customized ambulance versus a standard production ambulance, which could be a savings of $50,000?
Leave it?
Say it again?
We are ordering a customized ambulance for $230,000.
Okay, I know what
With
it
the
is.
advanced life support and all
Thank
that
you.
stuff?
Well, to get that in, but all I'm saying is it's a customized vehicle. You can buy a standard ambulance for probably $180.
Well, what is the difference, please?
It doesn't have all the bells and whistles and chrome and everything else.
Does it have advanced life support? Does it have, okay, so do we care if it has chrome? Are you being funny, but I
Just
want to
asking-
know
I'm
what,
asking a question. If you have a customized vehicle, you don't think, one's a standard production vehicle, the other one is made to order customers. So be paying a lot more for what you want. I'll bring the question up because capital planning did have that question at one time.
Once again, the discussion is mute, because if they vote no, there is no ambulance. If they vote yes, then we can have that discussion with him
Just want to bring out.
on approval, right?
Same basic idea.
Yeah.
And everybody would certainly be happy if Mr. Sullivan managed to spend less.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
With the EMS budget, if you don't spend as much on there with the offset receipts, it flows to the general fund
Right.
and into free cash.
Right.
But
okay.
we can handle that too.
So, basically,
All right, so-
Article 3, we've already
We
voted
done?
on.
All right, so, you all set with the 3? Are we all
Yeah.
done? All right,
Yeah.
I move we pass over Articles 4 through 12.
Second.
Just quickly for discussion, do you have any new agreements to bring forward on these? These are placeholders
Right.
for labor negotiations. Do you have anything new that would
No,
implicate any of
there's,
these articles?
None of these, because if you ratify them, they'd be ratified by the Board of Selectmen. The two that I'm bringing forward would not have any retro pay, so you don't need town meeting to fund the
So-
retro.
Okay, so,
Okay.
excellent.
Good.
Second the motion.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Sitting here all day.
Well, we've been sitting here. Sweat rolling down my knees. It's ridiculous.
I think we held on a couple of because there was questions and answers.
Yeah.
Didn't we do these other ones already? Tank?
We did the tank-
13.
We did the tank last
I thought we
last
did
time
that.
he
Guy
was here,
Campina
right?
came
The guy
in.
was here? Remember, because he made the correction?
Alan, have you got a vote on that one?
Let me check my old paperwork. No, if I do or not.
Yeah, check that. I knew we heard about it.
We did a few of them.
Yeah.
TAG was not requesting additional funds.
Right.
It was just changing the scope of articles so they could go in a different direction that they felt would be better for the WPCF.
We did not vote on the tank because there was a question of what was happening and they won't get back to us with final information.
Well, we ready to vote now?
Yeah.
Well, let's have a motion.
Motion to approve Article 13 as written.
Second.
Anything else? Motion made by Selectman Tropiano and seconded by Selectman Whiteside. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500 favorable action. The sewer tie-in one. I think this
Yeah.
one we had
We held-
questions on as well.
We held on that one because there was questions about the issue. That one, I think town administrator has some background information. The guy sent us some update on that.
The guy had sent us the update that it was, the purpose was it was a failed septic system, and in the marshland, the guy could not get it back in. Board of Health does not have any history of the system failing there. So I don't have any proof to you that there is a failed system. This article, yeah, I would think probably would have been better brought forward as a petitioned article, because I was asked by Mr. Campina to bring it forward. He felt that it was a good article for the sewer treatment plant. We put it on there, and I have a feeling that I don't think there's been enough. I'd like to have the homeowner come before the board, and this is probably something that I would bring in for the October town meeting, when it probably should have, if we would have had this special. You just feel there's too much of an ambiguity as to what could be done with this property. Can it suddenly be a large development? Is it just for the 1 and 2? I know Mr. Campina said that the Board of Selectmen can make their judgment on it because it allows that in here, because it's to authorize the Board of Selectmen to grant an easement. But
I move no action.
I move further study.
Well, fine, I'll amend my motion.
Well,
No, it'd be no action, I think it would be appropriate.
You think no action? You
Well,
think
yeah.
this
Yeah,
will
no
be coming
action.
back?
Further study goes before the the bodies.
But if we go on town meeting floor and we move no action on this and it gets approved, it doesn't come back for 2 years. If we further study it, it can come back at the next town meeting.
That's what town meeting does, those things. What we do here has no bearing on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we just
Yeah,
either,
we're gonna-
it's either favorable action, yes or no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we don't want to do this.
You can vote yes, no, or abstain on favorable
That's right.
action.
That's what we do, to keep it
Well, but
standard.
And this is what we've noticed on our agenda as
Our
well,
votes
Patrick, so
mean nothing.
we're
Votes
bound.
mean everything.
They don't mean anything
No,
there.
no, they mean, what we're saying on town meeting floor is how we want you to vote.
Oh, it's advice, but that's
It's
it.
advice to the
It's
people at
advice,
town
that's
meeting.
it, either
Right.
favorable action or not.
But if we ask them on town meeting floor to vote against
Right,
it,
you
it
don't
can't come
speak
back
to
for
that.
2 years. Is that important? Is it something that you want to come back?
No.
Well, I would say it would be important to have the homeowner, the owner of the property come before the board and properly vet it. I don't know if a 2-year time frame.
But that's what's gonna happen. if
Well,
it gets
it's
turned
right
down.
it's right for the study action motion on
It's
town
okay with
meeting.
me,
Town
I'm
meeting
just trying to
floor,
say.
right?
Yes, you're absolutely correct, Steve. So I would say, I would not vote favorable action on this. We don't know enough.
Right.
We will, if any of us or Mr. Campino or anybody in the audience wants to stand up
When
and
it gets
vote.
there, you just get up and say, move further action.
Exactly. We don't know enough, come back with it. So I would call for a vote for
Is this a
favorable
petition
action.
article? Or is this-
No, not favorable.
Sorry, when it comes up, I'm
Not
going to ask Mr. Campino to speak to it. I don't feel.
It's
You
okay
never
with me,
know,
one way or
people
the
may
other, I
vote
just
for
don't
it.
want you to get a problem with
Yeah.
it down the road and then say, oh
Good.
geez.
We can't stop it either.
Just trying to match the finance committee.
Everyone's for
What
favorable
motion is it?
So are you voting no action?
I don't know what I'm doing because
Hold on a
you
second.
confuse me
At-
now.
At town meeting on the floor, the board can get up a number, and we can make an amendment to the motion for further study. And then it can come back later on.
Right, but why
But we
can't,
can just sit here and just either vote to abstain or, we voted before no action. That doesn't mean we're telling you not to have no action. All it is that we are not voting yes or no because we don't have
We-
sufficient
We
information.
haven't voted on this, is what you
right,
told
but
me.
if,
we have-
Okay.
Well, you abstain, if you don't know enough, you abstain. That's typically been what the board has done. If we're confused or we're looking for further information, abstention is how you handle this.
see, I think that here's the elected body. They're out on the floor, right? And they're watching the FinCom, and they're watching the Board of Selectmen, and they want to see what we want to do with the article. And so if we say to them, look, we'd like to further study this because we don't have enough information on it, we don't know what the circumstances are, we would like to see it further studied. So when they make the announcement, they say the Board of Selectmen wants to see this further studied. The FinCom wants this done, whatever.
No, they want no action.
No, what
which
happens,
what I
Patrick,
think we
is
should
when
do
the clerk is
same,
asked to
no
read-
action.
When the clerk is asked to read the vote of the Board of Selectmen on favorable action, Alan can say the vote of the board was
No
005, all abstained because we don't think we know more about this and the issue needs to be further studied. He can deliver that explanation as the first person after the article is introduced. So, and the motion is made. That's how to cover it. Bing, bang, boom, done. So,
That's what we've done before.
I think
Yeah, it works.
That's ridiculous. but
You've
okay.
done what?
Because then if you start making all these crazy motions, you confuse people.
Well, why don't you
It's an
say,
easy
why don't you take no action? What's wrong with no action?
Everything is usually favorable action, up or down, or abstaining.
Right, but no
And so
action.
you keep it all the same, Mrs. Whiteside, that's what, so we don't, there's no confusion. It used to be confusing when people would sit there and, oh, the board is saying don't do this, and don't, it's either
But they
favorable
have this
action
in
or
front
not.
of them. They have the Finance Committee's recommendation,
I'm not
which
gonna
says
do-
no action because we don't
I
know
don't care,
enough.
let's just vote on something.
well,
So we
Attorney
can-
Bowen, as both a moderator and
Well, thanks.
former selectman, may have some thoughts.
Thanks, Mr.
And town
Chairman.
council.
If this were a zoning article, Selectman Tropiano would be exactly right. You know, negative action, you'd have to wait 2 years. But this is more in the nature of a grant of an easement, so I don't think the 2-year rule would apply. So I think no matter how you kill it, and I don't mean this board, but if town meeting kills it, no matter how it kills it,
Right.
for the study, no action, indefinitely postponed.
You think it
pass
could
over,
still come back?
You know, pick your poison, it can still come back.
Okay, fine.
But I think, you know, if this were a zoning article, it'd be dead on. You'd want to refer to
Right.
committee.
That's usually the, you know, I just trying to keep our options open, that's all. I don't want to slam something and then find out later on, hey, you know.
Right, right.
Yes, sir?
Yeah.
May I repeat my motion for no action?
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
Whatever that
I
means.
move we pass over Article 15.
Second.
500, no action.
Move we pass over Article
Those are
15.
That would be like
Second.
not favorable action.
He's not
I guess.
listening.
But not,
Second.
not unfavorable action. Wait a minute, there used to be
We move,
negatives.
hello?
Yes.
I move we pass over Article 15.
Second.
Okay. Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained? 500.
There we go.
Okay, we need a motion to adjourn this meeting and to quickly slide into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Anything else? Have a roll call, please.
Patrick Tropiano, yes.
Selectman
Yes.
Lopes? Yes. Selectman
Whiteside, yes.
What was the reason?
Slavin, yes. It's reason number 3 to discuss litigation or contracts whereby public discussion of same might be detrimental to the interests of the town.
Yes.
Okay. Titlebaum, yes.